Hi, I'm Dr. Elizabeth Murray, and welcome to 292 Baby. As you know, we were really lucky in Rochester to have a tremendous amount of resources. However, navigating through all those resources and finding out exactly what is out there can be really, really challenging. So today I've invited a friend of mine and a guest who's helped create a program called KidsThrive585. This is Dr. Megan Lasaponara. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, so KidsThrive585, catchy name. It's a website, right? KidsThrive585.org, and then you're also on Twitter. And I think people realize we don't have phone books anymore. There aren't the yellow, well, I think we do, but not using them so much. And so it's hard to figure out what all is out there. And I think when it comes to looking at information online, a trusted resource is a tricky thing to find, potentially, and it's obviously so important. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
Certainly. We have the website KidsThrive585.org, and it centers around connecting children and families with the community resources that you've talked about, but not just any resource. These are vetted resources, places that we are familiar with and know are going to provide a great service, whatever it is that you're looking for, whether it's information on asthma or autism or child care if your family's in a crisis situation.
Okay, and so how did you start this? Who did you partner with? How did you come up with this idea? This is a huge undertaking for somebody to just kind of, hey, let me do this today.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Rochester, and I left for 10 years and traveled and studied and came back for my residency program. And while I was there, I realized that the community is very rich in resources for people of all ages, but since I am a pediatrician, I was very much focused on the ones for children.
Sure.
And the community advocacy and resident education track allowed me time to work with them to compile information on these different resources.
So this is actually something that while you were a resident in training to be a pediatrician, you were encouraged to do something to help the community. So that's a great thing. I think people don't necessarily realize that, here we're teaching our pediatricians to not only care for kids, but really be advocates for children in all aspects of health, whether it be nutrition, safe housing, things we face in poverty in our city, all those types of things.
Certainly,
so that's great.
The University of Rochester has really pioneered this, and other pediatric residencies across the country have picked it up because of how successful it was here.
So that's great. So anyway, so you said, all right, how do we get this information together?
And yes, so part of that is Lifeline 211 is our community partner, and they are a repository for information on all things. They have a great database, and they really have the infrastructure to keep up with consistent contact information and things that help us as a very small organization of a handful of people really stay up to date on what resources still exist, because places close, funding changes for people, and if they're still providing the same services that they were when we added them to the website.
So you mentioned Lifeline, and I guess my thought, when I think of Lifeline, I kind of think of a crisis or a mental health crisis, and that agency can certainly help in those regards, but what you're talking about on your website is not necessarily in the acute setting, meaning, not if you're worried about calling 911, you're not going to go look up information on your website first. You're making that call to 911. But if you have a child who maybe started to act out and you need some information on counseling, or if you're having some housing insecurity, you need information on that, your website would be a good place to go ahead and look.
Certainly, we have all of those types of resources, but we also have, if your child has epilepsy, already has the diagnosis, we have information on how to hook you up with support groups in town. So it's, it's really Rochester-focused resources. So again, there are a number of different autism resources for parents in town, not only to help you navigate the system with a child with autism, but also how to contact other people that have kids with similar circumstances.
Right. I think that's so important, because you can look at something online and find out about a great program in Texas and think, well, I'm not moving to Texas. You want to know what's going on here and how you can reach out to them. And again, I think that knowing that it's a good vetted program is so helpful, because you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. And you have information, kind of hot topics as well, right?
Yeah, we have a trending topics section on our homepage, and we've talked about everything from summer reading programs to March is National Nutrition Month. We've talked about human papillomavirus. We've talked about all sorts of things that are kind of trending and coming up in the news.
So anything you might need. So if your pediatrician's thinking about something, chances are it's a trending topic and you can read a little bit more information there.
Certainly, and we use citations so that if people want to kind of go back to our primary resources, they can look at those as well.
All right. So I'm just trying to think of, are there things or are there times where you feel like, where do you see people struggling the most? I feel like housing insecurity is a big problem in Rochester with our large poverty rate, and needing resources there. It sounds like you do have access. Are you tied in perhaps to the county or other major organizations to help get information with that? Or again, it's the Lifeline people that are able to help you with that?
Primarily right now, it's really Lifeline 211 that's helping us keep up the resources that we have. The one great thing about having a website is that we can look at the back end of the website, kind of the behind the scenes stuff, and that gives us a sense for what people are clicking on,
that's
so
great.
that we can augment those resources. So we definitely have a lot of people come to the website to look at emergency housing, to look for Rochester City School District topics. So there's information kind of that runs the gamut on the website, but we do find that people come for more of those urgent things, and less of kind of the support group other side that we also offer.
So it's really kind of a living website. You can see, all right, this is what our community needs, not only truly literally from a resource standpoint, but right now, what are people accessing? What information can we give? So you really get a sense when you go to your website of this is what other people in our community want to hear about. This is what our peers are dealing with. I think it would give you a sense of, boy, I'm not the only one asking this question. You know, here's the information for me. I'm not alone in this battle, whether it be helping a child with autism or housing insecurity. There's other people looking for this information. Together, we're all in this together.
It certainly is helping us kind of guide the long-term picture of what the website is going to be, kind of in that living, breathing sense, where if we find that people really are only coming to us for emergency housing, making sure that we have as much up-to-date information, or even reaching out to other organizations in town to ask them what kind of things they can offer to help.
Yeah, and you're popular, you're growing. You're a non-for-profit right now, hoping to move forward into the full 501c3 status, so that's great. So you'll have a board, and really you're growing by leaps and bounds. So again, we can follow you on Twitter, right?
Yep, KidsThrive585,
and then the website?
KidsThrive585.org.
Can't be easier than that. All right, thank you for joining us
Thank you so
today.
much for having me.
And thank you for joining us on 292 Baby.